Hey everybody, it's Eugene and welcome to another video. It's been a little while, and today what I'm going to be doing is showing how you can create a virtual tour inside of FARO Scene using the Scene2Go app, but not using FARO scan data. So this is going to be scan data that's coming from Recon 3D, which is an iPhone app. So you can bring in data from other sources. And I don't think there's a lot of people that are doing this, but it works. So let me get started. So the basic process is going to be as follows. I'm going to import a scan and I'm just going to set it up so that it's inside of the 3D view, and I attach all the links. So there's going to be some photographs that I'm going to attach, and then I have to do something called create virtual scans. And the virtual scans is basically like the center of the panoramic image, and you set those up around the scene or the scan that you have. And once you do that, then you can export a Scene2Go project. So let's get started with that. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new project. And in here, what I'm going to do is call this one the mock crime scene. Sure. Like this. And I also need to import, let me see here. If I go to my quick access, I'm going to import the scan file. So basically what I have here, and I'll just bring this over so you can see, is I have an E57 file. That's right here. So all I can do, if I want, I can drag it into this screen right now, like this, and it says, successfully imported the file. So I'm going to go OK. Now, normally you can go to the import tab, you can drag it in here. It doesn't matter. You can actually import files from just about any screen. You can just drag and drop. So that's no problem. Now I have this file here, and you see it has like a broken point cloud here. It's got like little dashes. So that means that it's an unprocessed scan. So I need to do some work with this. So the first thing is I'm going to go to the processing tab. I'm going to go process scans, and I'm just going to choose this one. It's only one. I'm going to go configure processing. Now here it says skip fully processed scans. Well, that's grayed out. It's only one scan, and it needs to be processed. I'm going to create a scan point cloud, so I have to do that. No colorization. In this case, it's not going to work because of the type of scan that it is. It's an E57 file, but if I choose this or not, it'll end up with color anyway. So if I choose no colorization, that's fine. I don't have any filters. I'm not going to look for any spheres or anything like that. And of course, it's a single scan, so I cannot register it. So I'm going to go ahead and start processing. So it's going to load up all the data. It's going to crunch through, and it's basically going to make it so that I can look at the point cloud inside of the 3D view. Once it's done, then I will come back. And it's interesting, but it takes a little bit of time to process these files that are external, that come from a different source other than FARO scanners. So it will crunch for a little while, even if the file is not that big. And I guess it's just part of the conversion process that it has to do. I guess it is a different file format. So just give it a little bit of time. I'm going to pause right now, and then I will come back once it's done. Well, that didn't take very long at all. Actually, I thought it was going to take a little bit longer. It really only took about 30, 40 seconds. So here it says it's successfully processed, and I'm just going to click OK. So now you'll see that the point cloud here has changed. The icon has changed. So it's a little cloud that's closed, which means it's a process scan. So I'm going to go over to the Explore tab, and I should be able to see it. And I do. So there it is. I can see the scan. And this is just a mock crime scene that I've put together. You can see there's a body, there's some evidence markers on the ground. And again, this was scanned with the phone. So, it's just a room here. I've cut off the top before I imported it so that we can see what's going on. So this part is tackled, and I have to do what is next. So there's something here called create virtual scan, and a lot of people don't use this function. It was originally intended for the FARO Freestyle, and it's not to be confused with something else from the older version of FARO Scene that was called a virtual scan. I won't get into that. But the idea here is that when you have a terrestrial laser scanner, you have a scan position. So you would see something like this when you import it. But when you take it from a mobile device, it doesn't have a fixed position where it scans from. So it has to create something to say, well, look, this is the position. We need some kind of reference position when you bring in this scan. And so I don't know the actual reasoning why or how it calculates this, but you can see here that in this scan, when it imported, it figured out that the scan position was here. And I guess I need to do a bit more work in that. Maybe that's the close to the beginning of the scan position, like where I started, but that's kind of how it gets going there. Now, what I need to do is create other positions from where the software can calculate the panoramic images. And it's really simple to do so. So if I want to make one here, just like this, I get into this view, let's say something like this, and then I just go create virtual scan. So I'm going to click on that right here. And then it says, okay, what do you want to call this? So I'll call it just virtual scan 1 is fine. And then it asks me for the resolution. So I'm going to crank this up all the way. I want a large resolution for this virtual scan, and it says enable point cloud point interpolation. So that helps to densify the image, and I think I'll just leave that up there, and I'm going to click OK. Now this is going to crunch for a little bit also, so let's leave this and then come back. Okay, so it's finished, and it says it's successfully added this virtual scan 1 to the folder. So I'm going to click OK here, and you'll notice now, actually this is I noticed this when I click OK, it just takes a second here. But you'll see now that there's a virtual scans folder that is up here in the structure. And so when I give this a second, it says not responding. It does this often. I'm not sure why, but it just lags for a second and then it comes right back in. But if we look at what we have here, I'm going to click on the plus sign and you'll see I have virtual scan 1. So if I move out of the way now and look around, actually I need to refresh this. If I close this and then I open it again, what I should see is another scan position. So that's this scanner that's right here. So basically I have another viewing point from here where it will create a panoramic image. And in fact, it's already created the image. If I click on the virtual scan 1 and go view planar view and let it load, it'll have an unwrapped view from that position, which is the panoramic image that it will put inside of the virtual tour inside of Scene2Go. So just give it a second to load. There's probably a bit of data there. And in just a second here, we'll be able to look at this. Come on. There we go. All right. So I'm going to zoom out and here you go. So you can see I have an unwrapped image here from this position. And this is exactly what I want. This is what's going to be visible inside of Scene2Go. So at the moment, I only have one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep working here and I'm going to create maybe 2 more positions just to make the point from maybe somewhere near the door here, or maybe somewhere from this door, something like that, you know, maybe like a witness looking at a crime scene, and then we'll continue. So I'm just going to keep working here and then you can just watch along, but I'll make sure that this goes fast. Okay, so just before continuing on, I'm going to save the project just so I don't lose anything just in case. I'm going to click on Save Changes here. And I like to put comments here. So, for example, created 3 virtual scans, something like that. And then I'm just going to go ahead and just click OK. And it's going to save that data for me. And it's going to go through each one. So it's going to save these virtual scans. I haven't saved it since, since I first opened it. So I don't want to lose anything here. So give it a second and then we'll come back. All right, saved. Let's continue on here. So the next step here is that I want to append images. So I want to put media. It could be videos, it could be JPEGs, it could be whatever it is that I want to attach here. So I've got these evidence markers, and let me just zoom back here. And so look, for example, the hat and that sort of thing. So there's a whole number of images. Let me drag it in here. And so let me go bigger here, and you can see I can append all of these or just a few. So let me show you the process there, and then we can do a few of them. I don't have to do them all. But let's say, for example, well, I'll do the shoe that's over here. So what I'm going to do is go to this annotation button that's up, and you have to be in the Explorer tab. I'm going to click on annotation, and then you pick on the point. So I'm going to pick right on the evidence marker, let's say somewhere over here. And then it comes up with this menu here. So in the general, I'm going to type in what that object is. So I'm going to call it, or maybe I'll call it EV31, like for evidence 31, and I'll do a dash and I'll call it shoe. Now you can't leave spaces in the naming here. So unfortunately, you have to add underscores or dashes. And then I can give it a description here, shoe on or beside victim, something like that. Sure. Whatever. And then I can add the images. So the way that you do this is basically, I'm going to leave an extra space there. No. Down here where it says ... I'm going to click on that. And then I have to go into the evidence photos here, this folder, and I have access to all the photos. So what I'm going to do is find the shoe and down here. So I've got two. I've got one that's sort of farther away and then one that's closer in. So I'm going to click this first one here, click on open. And you'll see that it populates down here in the field, but I need to click add. When it's up here, that means that the hyperlink has been set. Okay, so that's good. Now I need to do another one. I'm going to do the second one. You can do as many as you like, and I'll do the close-up one. This is 34. Actually, it's evidence 34, and I made a mistake there. I think I chose 31. Sorry, that's 34. So let me clean that up. There you go. And I need to make sure that I hit add. Okay. And I've got two different images, and then I go apply. Okay. And then you see it changes the name and it's all set there. So that's all it is. That's all you really need to do. Maybe for example, if I do the knife, let's see what that one is. So I can just do the same thing, go annotation. I'm going to click on the evidence marker here, and I'll leave the default for now until I can figure out what the knife is, and I click on here, the images. The knife looks like it's 35. So I've got one from this angle. Well, here's a farther one. So I'll do this one here first. I'll add, and I'll also change this to EV35. I'll call it knife, like that. And I'm going to do one more. I'm going to do the close-up one. Maybe, oh, this one here is fine. I'm going to go open, and that's there, add, and now I've got two there. I'm going to click OK. Maybe one more just for fun. So I've got this one here. This one looks like 31. So I'm going to click on this one. And this is a cartridge case. This one I know. So I'm going to go EV31 cartridge case. Oh, no space. So I can't make sure that I just put a underscore perhaps. And go here and add the images. So that's 31. So I'll do this first one. And I'll do the next one, 31, right here. Good. Add. So I've got the two there, and click OK. So basically, you're going to go around. This is what you're going to do. You're going to keep adding little links and things like that. You could, append documents, other things, videos, whatever it is that you want. Now, the only thing that is important, depending on what it is that you append here, is that when you package the virtual tour or the Scene2Go, the computer that it's going to end up running on is going to need to recognize what the file extensions are. So in the case of a JPEG, almost every computer will know what a JPEG image is, and you'll have a program that will open that. But if you have some kind of a weird extension or whatever, or for example, if it's a PDF file and somebody doesn't have Acrobat installed, then, it might say, do you want to open it up with another program or something like that? So just keep that in mind. Usually if it's an MP4 file, a JPEG, a common file format, then it's no big deal. But if you add something with a strange extension, it may not know what it is. All right, so we've basically done all this work. We're ready to go. So the next thing is that we need to get Scene2Go to create the package here. Now, the Scene2Go is an app, okay? And there's a new version that was released. So I'm going to click on the apps button that's up here. And you'll see that I have a whole bunch of different apps that pop up, but I have Scene2Go, and I believe the latest version is 1.3. So it's the latest one, and I'm just going to go create Scene2Go data, and it says, oh, you need to save it because you appended some things. So in this one, I added links to photos, something like that. So it's just going to add those little differences or things that I added there. Shouldn't be any more scans or anything too major here. So hopefully this will go relatively quick. Once that is saved, then the Scene2Go project creation menu will come up. And from there, you can select a whole number of different options, like the background color, the what you choose to include. You can do GPS coordinates and things like that too. And so just give it a second here, and then I will show you exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so that's successfully saved. Great. I'm going to click OK. Now this is our project creation menu. Now we're going to have limited options because the point cloud is a different format. But starting from the top here, I can choose the background color for the map, the overview map. And I like to choose darker colors, so I'm going to click on black, click OK. And then it says it's a single layer map. There's no clip boxes or anything, so I'm not going to go through this. Down here, it says export grayscale images and such. I can check it, but this is really intended when you're using the terrestrial laser scanner, like the FARO scanner, and it'll have more options here for you, but I'll just check it for fun. Then project settings, I can name this. I'll call it Mock Crime Scene2Go. Maybe that'll be the title of this particular project. It has a description, so I can say Mock Crime Scene. And down here, it gives you keywords, and then you have the latitude and longitude. This is kind of interesting because you can add the location. So right now, because this was done with a mobile device that didn't have GPS, I have to do this manually. So let me quickly show you how to do that. Let me bring up a Google Maps. Let me bring that up here. Okay. And so the address to where this was done is over here. And I'm going to switch to satellite. And so it's basically right in this corner right over here. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to go, what's here? And let me see if I can get that a little bit more precise over here. No, it just snaps to the front here. So let me see if I can get that over here. What's here? Let's see if it jumps over there. No, it tries to go over there. Let's see if I can do it right outside here. No, it keeps trying to jump around. Let's see if I try here. No, not at all. All right. So if I do it in the parking lot here, okay, there it goes. It's got one here. And you'll see that what happens is down at the bottom, there's this little menu that pops up and it gives you the coordinates. So I'm going to copy those coordinates and I'm just going to maybe dump it in here for now in the description. I'll take the latitude and I'll copy paste it in there, and I'll take the longitude and I'll copy and paste it in here. So now when I click on this link, it should bring it up in its proper location. So yeah, it does. It's right over here in the corner unit. Great. Okay, so I'm going to live with that. Close that out. Close that out. This should be set to go. So I'm just going to click on export. And it's now going to grab everything and it's going to package all the data. So I'm going to let this crunch, and as soon as it's done, then I'll come right back. Okay, so it's successfully made or created all the data, and that gets held in a temporary location on your drive. I'm going to click OK. All right, so now it's like, okay, what do I do? Well, the only thing left to do is to transfer the data to a location. And so you could package this to a USB key, a USB drive, or whatever, and basically hand it to somebody else. Now, it has to be on a writable media, so you can't like burn it to CD. I know it seems like ancient right now, but there are people that are still using CDs out there. So USB key, a hard drive, your desktop, or something like that, and that would be fine. So in the dropdown here, I'm going to go transfer Scene2Go data. And basically, you just have to choose a location where you want this. So I'm going to go ahead and let's say, for example, I had this Scene2Go video. I'm going to make a new folder, and I'm going to call this the Mock Crime Scene2Go, like that. And click OK. Now it says copy all linked files. Make sure that this is selected, okay, or checked, and it's going to go in and it's going to collect all of the photographs and media that you have linked, and it'll transfer it for you. And I'm just going to hit on transfer data. Okay, looks like it's going to transfer here. And give it a second to dump all of that data in one location. And then what we'll do is, once it's copied, is we'll jump in, we'll launch it, and then just have a look at the links and such. Okay, so it looks like it has copied everything. So I can launch it right from here, or I can go to the location on the desktop, or I can click OK. But let me just go ahead and open it from here and see if it's working. So I'll just click on it and let's see what happens here. Okay, so it's opened up already. And if I go into projects, normally it would open up like this, and you'll see that I have a link here. So if I click on that, it'll open, but it's in the right location approximately. And this is a preview of the project. I click on this, and you'll see that I've got the different locations here. So this is the one that I made. I'm going to go in, have a look at this. Okay, go around, and there you go. So there's one right here, right? I can see that there's like an evidence marker here. I can flip to this other one. Okay, and this is the other location. And then I'm going to go to this last one and just make sure that it works. And I just click this, when I click on the little icon here, the one at the top is the panoramic image. So I'm going to click on that. And then when it does that, I can rotate around. And I've got this link here, like for example, the knife link. So if I click on that, okay, and I go over here, it says the open the link. So if I click on that one, okay, it'll open up one of the images. Now there's more than one, so I may have to go to the properties here. So there's information or properties, and there's other things, show an overview map, that sort of thing. But if I go to the properties, you'll see that it has two image here. So I can click on either of these images and it'll bring up one or the other. Okay, so I can go back to scan view, click on, well, let's move to this one here. And I'll just go around and I'll click on this particular one, go to the properties. I can see that I have two, and I can open up the picture of the shoe here as well. So that is pretty much how it works. Now, there are other things I think you can do, like measure distance. So if I can click on a couple of things here and I go, okay, right, I get the distance. So I've got some other information that I can put in here. It is also possible to go into a 3D view. So there's this 3D button up top. If I click on that, there are some settings that you can set for this, but basically I can now look at the single scan and rotate around. So there are settings for the navigation, and there are settings for the 3D stuff. You just have to go to your settings, general, I believe. Well, that's the units. And let me just make sure I can find this here. Scan view. So here you go. Resolution, you can choose the color. You can do things like gap filling or stuff. If you shut that off, it's that when it sort of tries to make the points larger. Navigation mode and things like that. So you may want to adjust some of these to your liking. I'm going to click on OK. I also want to let you know that there's a little icon down here. And if you click on this, it's for visibility. So for example, I can shut the scan positions off and on. You can set their visibility. So if I turn this down to about 5 meters, okay, you'll see that these ones here have disappeared now because they were greater than 5 meters. So if I turn them up, anything within 10 meters is going to be showing. There's other things here. The overview map, like there's things you can look at from the top. So as I move around here, you can see that my field of view changes. So there's a whole number of things to explore inside of here, but this is the basic functionality inside of FARO Scene, and how to create a virtual tour using a point cloud that does not come from a FARO scanner. And I like this because it gives you more functionality if you have different tools in your back pocket. So that's it. Thanks. Hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.